Our national forests need us. Fires and natural disasters destroy millions of trees each year. That's why we're replanting our forests from coast to coast. Visit arborday.org. See how you can help.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Sports Nightly. I'm Alex Wilcox. 1 week from today, we'll have football. This time next week, we'll be bringing you highlights from a whole slate of NFL games, including the Browns kicking off the season in Baltimore, the Lions hosting the Bears, and the beginning of the Joe Burrow era in Cincinnati. We'll have analysis from Notre Dame's season opener against Duke, and the longest offseason in sports history will mercifully be over. That's all 1 week away, and it can't get here soon enough. For now, though, what we've got is high school games. So let's dive right in. The biggest game of the week, Central Catholic at home taking on St. John's. We're going to skip ahead to the second quarter in this one. Brady Lichtenberg dealing all night, drops back to pass here, goes deep for Thomas Zyros, and check out the catch by the senior wide receiver. Titans tie the game up at 14 apiece. Yeah, take another look at that one. It was gorgeous. Central Catholic, though, answers right back. Bishop Vargas finds Jay-Sean rushing, shakes off a defender, and down the sideline he goes for the score, runs away from everyone. This game would go into the half tied at 21 apiece. Lichtenberg and Zyros were on the same page all night. In the third now, Lichtenberg flushed out of the pocket, flips it to Zyros for another score. Titans up 28-21. Back the other way now, Prentice Reasonover was a force on the ground, gets the handoff and dives in for the score. Irish would retake the lead. This game, though, kept going back and forth all night long. Lichtenberg looking for Zyros again, throwing deep, and Zyros, Randy Moss is the defender and then shows that he's been in the weight room this summer, drags the defender across the goal line for the touchdown, game tied up at 35. Reasonover, though, just kept scoring for Central Catholic. Here he goes in for the touchdown, and check this out. He counts how many touchdowns he has. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 touchdowns on the night. Here's St. John's answer, though. Thomas Zyros, a huge night, returns the kick with under 2 minutes remaining to cut the St. John's deficit to just 1 score. Thomas Zyros doing it all for St. John's. So it would come down to this, an onside kick, and who else gets it? Prentice Reasonover, the star of the night. Central Catholic wins 49-42.
It came out to finishing. The first half was kind of wild, too many turnovers, but did come back and bounce back from those. It was like a tennis match, and able to get that ground game going in the second half was the big thing. Keep Brady off the field and those great wide receivers, and be able to churn some yards up, churn some time up, and then finish the drives. Some of our best drives of a short season thus far.
I stayed one step ahead. I didn't let them get to me. Like, all they was doing, every time they tackled me, they was trying to get in my head, but I knew I was the better person. So going into the game, I just said I know I'm the best running back in the nation. So I just feel like if it ever came down to the wire, I got to put my team on my back.
Reasonover did just that. Here are the guys that called it: John Gibson and Mason Lowry.
Well, guys, we might see a better high school football game this season. We might. Probably not.
It's not likely. I mean, you may see one just as good, but tonight's game had everything that you want. You had great defensive plays and a lot of offense. That's the blueprint for modern football.
We saw a lot of Central Catholic going to the air in the first half of this game, and it cost them. Bishop Vargas threw 3 interceptions. It was tied at the half. Second half, all Prentice Reasonover. He's the real deal.
Well, Central Catholic at that point remembered who they were, and they went to Prentice Reasonover. That offensive line start opening up holes, and all of a sudden Reasonover starts bouncing off of people, yards after touchdown, yards after carry, into the end zone.
Prentice Reasonover, not just a great young running back, but an outstanding post-game interview as well. He put Central Catholic on his back in the second half. Thomas Zyros tried to do the same thing for St. John's. 3 of his 4 touchdowns came in the second half, including one of the most insane yards after catch plays you'll ever see, and that late kickoff return for a score. He was outstanding shame someone had to lose.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams put forth winning efforts. St. John's has nothing to hold their heads about because they know that it's quite possible they could see Central Catholic later on in the year in the playoffs.
The one thing that they may need to hold their heads about a little bit, second half penalties were absolutely costly, including 12 men on the field after forcing Central Catholic to punt that gave the Irish a first down. That's the kind of thing that they really need to clean up in the weeks ahead.
And that's the type of thing that's going to drive Coach McDaniel and his staff crazy, and there's probably going to be some punishment runs because of that.
I have a feeling you're absolutely right. Big win for Central Catholic over St. John's. Central Catholic takes a big step towards yet another track championship. Back to you.
Thank you, guys. St. Francis on the road taking on Whitmer. Panthers looking to bounce back after last week's loss against Findlay. St. Francis, though, had other plans. Kevin Hornbeek drops back to pass. He's picked off by Dominic Arnold, and Dominic Arnold is in for 6. That gives the Knights the 17-0 lead. They were getting things done on special teams as well. Whitmer can't get the kickoff. Domo Austin just levels the punter. Ball stays in bounds, and Dominic Arnold, yeah, that guy picks it up for another touchdown. Knights starting to pull away with this one. Whitmer, though, at least tries to close the gap. They give it to Armand Bowman, who finds a seam, shakes off a few tackles, and he's off to the races, dives his way in for the score. After the 2-point conversion, the Panthers cut it to a 2-score game. St. Francis, though, shutting the door on the Panthers. David Kaiser floats it up for Charles Green, who comes down with the catch in the end zone. St. Francis gets the win 31-8. Tim Clagg has more.
Last week, St. Francis allowed over 400 yards of total offense when they played rival St. John's. Tonight, from the opening snap, it was a completely different team. Coach Chipka telling us in the pregame that we just made too many scrimmage mistakes last week. It was a flawless start in all areas of the game for the Knights. They forced 6 total turnovers, 2 defensive touchdowns. Dominic Arnold had a pick 6, which started the momentum right away for them. And then in the second half, he recovered a fumble in the end zone for a score. They held Whitmer in check all night long, holding the passing game and the running game, holding them under 100 yards of rushing yards tonight. David Kaiser leading the offense tonight. 2 passing touchdowns through the air, including a 4th and 18 strike to Charles Green in the goal line, that only a ball that the receiver himself could catch it. So a very vast improved team from 1 week ago, and they're going to need the quick turnaround because they will take on the track powerhouse Central Catholic Fighting Irish next week. They have the most difficult schedule of anyone starting out the season in Northwest Ohio. Last week, St. John's, this week Whitmer, and next week the big one against Central Catholic. Tonight they're 31-8 winners. They move to 1-1. And 1-1 in track play. Let's send it back to the studio.
All right, Tim, Anthony Wayne putting their 28-game regular season winning streak on the line in a big matchup against Perrysburg. Jackets on the goal line on the opening drive, 4th and goal. Chase Sanolds picks off Christian Golgin, and he's going the other way. He would eventually be tackled right at around midfield, and the Generals would turn that takeaway into a field goal. Perrysburg knocking again in the second. This time, though, they come through, hands it off to Connor Wolenzek, and he punches it in. Extra point, though, no good. Jackets take the 6-3 lead. They weren't done. Christian Golgin rolling out, fires over the middle. He finds Aiden Pratt, who makes the sliding catch in the end zone. Perrysburg up 10, 13-3 in the second. We go to the third now. Perrysburg on the doorstep once again after another turnover. Golgin tries to take it himself, gets blasted, somehow stays on his feet, and then look at this heads-up play. Flips it to Isaac Witten, who walks in for the score. Jackets extend their lead 27-3. Anthony Wayne made this one a game, but their comeback bid falls short. The streak will end at 28. Perrysburg knocks off the Generals 27-24. Brad Woznicki has more from a memorable night in White House.
Thanks. Back out here in White House, where tonight the viewers got everything they wanted in this matchup, a game that would be decided through 4 quarters. Anthony Wayne at 1 point trail in this game, 27-3, as the Jackets really took advantage of some early Anthony Wayne turnovers. And then you love the fight that you saw from this Generals team. from the late stages of the third quarter into the fourth. Generals crawling back. You remember, Anthony Wayne came into this game having won 28 straight regular season games, including 22 straight in the Northern Lakes League. Perrysburg needed all 27 points to get this one done here tonight. And you look at one of these strong performances tonight, and there were a lot of individual performances that were good in this one, but Perrysburg's running back, Connor Wallenczak, just a sophomore. You look at the man he's replacing, Caleb Gherkin, who has been, for the last couple of years, one of the best rushers in the Northern Lakes League. Well, Wallenczak tonight, a couple of touchdowns on the ground. He took care of the football, and he kept Perrysburg in position to win this game. This is a huge victory for Perrysburg, trying to take a step towards a Northern Lakes League title. The Jackets defeating Anthony Wayne tonight for the first time since 2015. Now let's go back to the studio.
Northview looking for their first win of the season on the road, taking on Bowling Green. First quarter, Bobcats punting away. This one's fielded by Drew Sellers. Sellers breaks a tackle, heads down the sideline, and turns on the Jets. Got a wall of blockers in front of him. He's gone. 77 yards to the house. Wildcats up 7-0 early in this one. To the second now, Bowling Green on the move. Eli Brown in the shotgun set. Rolling out. Here he finds a wide open Michael Becker in the end zone, slips past the defense for the touchdown. Bobcats tie the game at 7. It's now 14-10 in the third. This time Brown keeps it himself on the triple option. Up the middle, and he outruns the entire Northview defense, 65 yards to pay dirt. One of 5 touchdowns for the senior quarterback. Bobcats dominate Northview 49-10. Bowling Green improves to 2-0. Well, still plenty more football action to come. Southview gets their first win of the season, but would Springfield be as fortunate? Find out in 2 minutes on Sports Nightly.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by Groganstown Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, where nobody treats you better.
Welcome back to Sports Nightly. The 1-0 Napoleon Wildcats in Holland to take on the Springfield Blue Devils. First quarter, Zach Rosebrook hands the ball to Michael Chips. Chips takes it into the end zone to give Napoleon the 7-0 lead. There are plenty of weapons on the ground for the Wildcats. Next possession, this time it's Jarrett Gerdeman. Nothing going on the left, so what does he do? I'll just try the right side instead. Cuts all the way back, picks up the first down, trucks a defender inside the 10, eventually dragged down. Napoleon, though, would punch it in the very next play, giving them the 14-zip lead. Now to the second. This time, Gerdeman finds the end zone, barrels his way in for the touchdown. That's Gerdeman's second score of the night. Napoleon up 21-0. Here the Blue Devils do get on the board before the break. Trey Materney hands it to Brandon Langston, who's in the end zone. Napoleon up 28-7. They would go on to win this one 49-21. All right, Maumee taking on Southview. Late in the first, Maumee back to punt here, but Southview brings the rush. Logan Moore, the junior, with the big block and the safety. Southview scores their first points of the season, and they go up 2. Now second quarter action, Cam Young takes the snap, rolls out to the far side. He eventually finds the wide open man, Joshua Meek, for the touchdown. How did he get that open? Southview would hold the lead after some unfortunate turnovers, but they'll take this one 24-3. All right, a battle out in the TAC Friday night in Northwood. A 1-0 Ranger squad taking on the 1-0 Ottawa Hills. In the first, Northwood's Jay Moten shrugs off a tackle and takes it to the sideline. The rest is history. Rangers up 6-0 after the missed 2-point conversion. Later in the quarter, 4th and 5 for Northwood. They elect to go for it, and good choice. Moten drops back to pass, looking for someone, decides, you know what, I'll just take this one myself. He's in for the 25-yard score. Home team up 14-0 after 1 quarter of play. To the second now, and the Green Bears get on the board. Matthew McGee gives it to Isaac Taftigan. The junior breaks the plane, cutting the Rangers' lead in half. Northwood doesn't let up, though. Here, he's done wonders on his feet. This time, he goes to the air, swings it around to Damon Marks. Northwood up 22-7. Northwood wins 43-14.
Here at Northwood High School, it was the Rangers against the Ottawa Hills Green Bears in a TAC matchup, the second game of the year for both schools. Each team came in with a 1-0 record. Both teams scored over 40 points last week. One team leaves tonight having scored 40 points once again, and it was Northwood. 43-14 the final score here tonight. You knew coming into the game, Chris Hardman and the Green Bears had stopped Jay Moten. They could not stop Jay Moten. 170-some yards on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns, 275 yards of offense for Jay Moten. It was the Jay Moten show here tonight. 43-14 was the final score as the Rangers had 4 touchdown drives of 70 or more yards. Leading the way for the Ottawa Hills Green Bears, Sam McCaffrey had about 90 yards of offense, and he scored a touchdown, but it was just not enough. Northwood moves to 2-0 as they beat the Green Bears of Ottawa Hills. 43-14 was the final score.
Well, coming up on Sports Nightly, Toledo Christian back on the turf in 8-man football. They got off to a good start of the season, but could they back it up with a strong performance against Holgate? Find out next on Sports Nightly.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by Charlie's Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Doing it different, doing it right.
Back on Sports Nightly, Montpelier taking on Cardinal Stritch at Clay High School. Take you to the second quarter. Thomas Faust, the junior, takes the snap, dials his own number, and boy, does that pay off for the touchdown. Cardinal Stritch up 7-0 in the first. A couple minutes later, Faust again taking it right up the middle. Cardinal Stritch jumps out to the 14-0 lead at the half. Moving on to the third, this time Faust will take the snap. Eventually here we go. To the third, Faust will take the snap, hands it off to Dwayne Moorhead. Moorhead finds the gap, breaks a couple tackles, and goes the distance, 56 yards to the house. Cardinals take this one 28-14. Greg Franke has more.
Well, this game tonight at Clay between Cardinal Stritch and Montpelier could have been a lot of things. It could have been just a workmanlike game. It could have been a barn burner. It turned out to be something in between. 28-14, the final score, Stritch winning. Stritch dominated the first half. They led 14-0, and Dwayne Moorhead and Thomas Faust making excellent touchdown runs. It could have been closer, though. A big stop by Travis Maddox on a fourth down play very late in the first half of the ball, and the Stritch 16 allowed them to go into the locker room up 14-0. Then they made it 28-0 in the fourth quarter. It looked like we might be going on to mercy rule territory, and then all of a sudden Montpelier caught fire. Tyler Yaris made a couple of outstanding catches. They had not been throwing the ball downfield all game, and the outstanding running back Gavin Worm for Montpelier really started running well, and they cut a 28-0 lead to 28-14, and they were about to go in after a fumble recovery to make it a one-possession game. If they'd scored it with 5 minutes left, it could have been that barn burner and maybe a comeback for the ages, but Stritch again stopped Gavin Worm. He had two chances from the 1 yard line. They forced a fumble on third down and ran out the clock. 28-14 turned out to be a pretty exciting night at Clay.
All right, Greg, thanks a lot. Toledo Christian makes the trek to Holgate to take on the Tigers in some 8-on-8 football. Eagles strike first here. Quick pass from Trevor Winsing to Solomon Sandoval to go up 6. A lot of highlights from those two this season. Meanwhile, Hunter Gershutz strikes back for Holgate with his first long touchdown of the night for the Tigers. Keyword there, first, would not be his last. Very next highlight here, he would keep things rolling as he takes it over 70 yards for his third touchdown, still in the second quarter, to extend the lead for Holgate 24-14. The Eagles, though, would only need one play to answer the call as Danielle Kuhn catches this pass down the seam from Winsing for the long touchdown. The Eagles, though, would fall in an offensive shootout 50-44. Well, a lot of kids shined Friday night, but only one can be our Player of the Week. We chose 4 of the best. Now it's up to you. Meet our Player of the Week nominees next on Sports Nightly. Player of the Week time here on Sports Nightly. First up, Mike Robinson. He's going with the easy one. Central Catholic running back Prentice Reasonover. All this guy did in the 49-14 win over St. John's was score 5 of Central's 7 touchdowns, gaining 178 yards on 30 carries. Plus, he also recovered the Titans' onside kick in the final minute to put the game away for the undefeated Irish, who have now won 16 straight league games. Next up, Mike Jewell staying in the track and also going with a guy who found the end zone multiple times. This time in a little more unconventional way, it's St. Francis linebacker Dominic Arnold. In the 31-8 win over Whitmer, Arnold gave the Knights a commanding 17-0 lead with a pick 6. Then he also recovered a muffed punt in the end zone for his second touchdown to put the visitors ahead 24-0, Knights now 1-1 on the season. They've got a big one coming up on Saturday at the Glass Bowl against Central Catholic. Plenty of heroes from the NLL last Friday as well. This is Claire Dow's pick. Perrysburg running back Connor Wolenzek, second straight week that he's been nominated. Their first victory over the Generals since 2015. Wolenzek was just in the 5th grade when that happened. He scored a pair of touchdowns as the Jackets O-line paves the way for his 166-yard night on 29 carries. He was working hard, and boy, did it pay off. The Generals defense hadn't allowed Perrysburg to score since the 2017 game. The Jackets are 2-0 on the season. They open up their home slate on Friday against Southview. And finally, it's your pick, the fans' pick. Bowling Green quarterback Eli Brown in the Bobcats' 49-10 win over Northview. Senior quarterback had 5 total touchdowns, including 220 yards of total offense. All he did was throw 6 times in the air, but he scored on 3 of those passes for 132 yards, also had 88 rushing yards and 2 more scores. Bobcats back at home next week for Anthony Wayne. Sports Nightly will be right back. Well, something that we're looking forward to bringing you here on Sports Nightly. For the first time, we will be having extended coverage of the Notre Dame football season. I'm a Notre Dame alum, and so I will be providing coverage of the Irish as they kick off their 2020 season. They do so this Saturday in South Bend against Duke. I will have all of your coverage all season long. Without Ohio State, Michigan, Toledo, and BG, we at least get to cover some college football here at BCSN. That's going to do it for us at Sports Nightly. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
You are the national parks. And no matter who you are or where you come from, the parks are you too.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Sports Nightly. I'm Alex Wilcox. 1 week from today, we'll have football. This time next week, we'll be bringing you highlights from a whole slate of NFL games, including the Browns kicking off the season in Baltimore, the Lions hosting the Bears, and the beginning of the Joe Burrow era in Cincinnati. We'll have analysis from Notre Dame's season opener against Duke, and the longest offseason in sports history will mercifully be over. That's all 1 week away, and it can't get here soon enough. For now, though, what we've got is high school games. So let's dive right in. The biggest game of the week, Central Catholic at home taking on St. John's. We're going to skip ahead to the second quarter in this one. Brady Lichtenberg dealing all night, drops back to pass here, goes deep for Thomas Zyros, and check out the catch by the senior wide receiver. Titans tie the game up at 14 apiece.